Hello guys. Our today's session is regarding how to run web servers. So before going directly into the topic, we actually discuss what exactly is IP address. We frequently here and there hear about what is IP address and all other stuff. So so in that case, we'll just go through what exactly is IP address. So an IP address is a unique address that identifies a device on the internet or a local network. So for example, every device that is present in any of the network will have a particular IP address. So and IP address or the identifier that allows information to be sent between devices on a network. So for example, uh, you have a computer and there is another mobile which you are using. So you need to transfer the data from your laptop or to your mobile. So in that case, what exactly is happening? So when you try to transfer the data, IP address are the main thing that are playing role because so the IP address of the computer and the IP address of the mobile are playing a key role here because IP address is a specific. So, for example, the best example it could be told as like it, you know, the destination and the source address. If you have a set destination and source address, it will be easier to just directly transfer the data in any of the network. They contain location information. So that's what we actually told. They contain location information and make devices accessible for communication. So in this way, IP address are basically the location address, or they are the unique addresses which communication takes place. In a similar way, we also have one more thing, that is so the next concept which we look at is local host. So what exactly is local host? So in the local host, we have the word host. Host means a server. So localhost is a host name that refers to the local machine in currently which you are making a request. For example, if you go to a Google Chrome and you just type localhost, so it is when you type the localhost, so it is your system which is making the request on the web server, which is the Google Chrome. On many computers, localhost is alias for the IP address 127.0.0.1. So this is the IP address, and for this IP address, localhost is named as an alias. So instead of just typing 120 or 0.0.0.1, so we actually type localhost. So for any as we told earlier, for any communication or any data transfer, we actually use IP address. So instead of typing this IP address, we actually use an alias name for that. That is the localhost. So when a computer pings this IP address, it is actually communicating with itself. So when you type localhost, it is actually communicating within itself, the data within itself. So this is basically about the localhost. And now we move on to the main content, that is a web server. What exactly is a web server? So a web server is a software and a hardware that uses HTTP protocol and other protocol to respond to the client requests made over the World Wide Web. So for example, when you go to open a Chrome, you try to type some www.some.org or something, or you type gmail.com. So when you type gmail.com, what exactly is happening? So that web server is taking the input of the what the www dot whatever the address you have typed. So according to the address, it is trying to fetch the details of that web page, and it will display the content in that web page. The main job of the web server is to display the website content, as I told earlier. So when you type www.gmail.com, it will show the content related to the that address which you have typed. So this is actually the web server. So now you know about IP address. So how to get to know about your own IP address? So that we will look at it as, so now open your command prompt and just type ipconfig. So when you type, when you give this command ipconfig, you will just actually get the IP address of your system. So there are this is, so here you can look at it, IPv4 address. So this is actually my IP address of my system. So 192.168.176.3. So this is the IP address that my system has got. How I got this? Because I have connected to a personal hotspot of my mobile. So that network, using that network gave me this IP address. So this is the IP address which we use further to run our web servers or web pages or local host, which my local, what exactly mean by local host? Like local host is communicating within itself, right? So in that way, this my IP address, you can find it here. Now, so how to run your web servers? So in that constant context, Apache server is one web server which we in which we try to basically run the HTTP protocols or hypertext transfer protocols. Using that only we try to retrieve the content. So now we exactly look into the what exactly is the Apache server. So for that you need to install XAMPP control panel. Installation of XAMPP is very simple. Just go to the Google. So let me show you what exactly is XAMPP. XAMPP download for Windows. So when you click on this, you can directly download the XAMPP from this. So according to your system configuration, you can directly download the XAMPP for your Windows, or it may be Linux, or it may be OS. Whatever the operating system, according to your operating system, you have to download your XAMPP. So in this system, I have already downloaded my XAMPP server. So now I'll try to run that XAMPP server. So what exactly is present in the XAMPP server? So this is basically the interface of the XAMPP control panel. So in which we have all these servers. This is actually Apache server, and this is MySQL server. So this acts as a database, and this is a what I called as web server. Web server. So Apache. So now let us start this web server. So if you want to run any web pages on this system, you have to actually install the Apache, which uses the port numbers 80 and 443. So these are the two port numbers, and these are the port IDs in which this server actually runs the web pages. So now we try to run the web pages. Okay, before going on directly writing the code of a web content, we actually don't know how to uh, run the web pages in the web server. So before going to that, now let us discuss how to run a web server, web pages in a server. So just go to the XAMPP folder that in which it is present. It will be in the C drive. C drive, open the exam folder. In this exam folder, you can have a look at HT docs. So this is a main root folder in which you have to store your whatever the web pages that you have written to run on a web server. So for example, so here I have a already opened a file named hello.php. So this is a main root folder in which you have to place your files so that it should run in a web server. So remember this. So now let us create a new file, or we can actually open with VS Code. Open a new file, text file, in select a language. So here, when we actually talk about writing a content in a web page, you have actually, there are different languages you can use for creating a web page. So when you try to use HTML is a HTML is a used to create a static website, whereas PHP and JavaScript are used to create a dynamic website. So instead, so here I have already created a PHP file, which in which it has I have written just I have just written a small piece of code where it try to display the content, that is hello world. So this is a simple code I have written in this. So as I said earlier, I have to place this whatever the file I have created in the htdocs folder. So that is present here. So it is already present. So now after placing the file in the htdocs, so now what we have to do so that the content in that will be displayed. So we actually create one more line here. This is my web page. I'll save this. Yes, now I have saved this. Now let us run this. So what we have to do? So for executing or running that file, we just have to type http colon slash, and what is the IP address of the local host or the particular system which you are using. 192.168.176.3. This is the IP address of my system, and slash, what is the file name? When you enter, see, hello world, this is my web page. This is the content of the page which I have written. So I'll just show you the content. Okay, let me write one more. Oh, this is my first page. Control S. When we refresh this, see, this is my first page. Hello world, this is my web page, this is my first page. These are the content that I have written in the my hello.php file, which I have stored it in a htdocs, which is the root folder in the exam server after running it in a Apache server. So in this way, we can actually execute all the web servers using XAMPP, that is Apache server. So in this way, you can try to run the web servers easily. Thank you.